I hope you are very well. I've got some big stories for you today. King Charles sends a brutal message to Prince Harry at the VE celebrations. Cheeky but lovable Prince Louis steals the show again. And he may only be 11, but Prince George is already king in waiting as his father William prepares him for the top job with some brand new responsibilities. Plus, Meghan Markle reveals some very strange details about her pregnancies. But first, a fresh headache for Prince Harry, the world's least happy millionaire, as he's blasted by his former billionaire best friend, Ben Goldsmith. Financier and son of the late billionaire tycoon Sir James Goldsmith. He's become the very first of Prince Harry's inner circle, former best mate, to publicly criticise him. Following Harry's catastrophic BBC interview, in which he once again threw his family under the bus after being refused royal security in the UK, Goldsmith has said it is tragic but true that a reconciliation between the H-bomb, Harry, the man known as my husband, and his family is now impossible. That's right. Goldsmith says that a reconciliation is impossible. He frames it as tragic but true. And Goldsmith raged that Harry and his behaviour was, I quote, unforgivable. So this is one of Harry's former best mates who has understandably disowned him, just like the family have disowned him, just like the whole of the United Kingdom have disowned him. And he's described Harry's actions, Harry's disloyalty, as unforgivable. Who could disagree? Now, his comment appears to be a direct response to Harry's remarks in last week's BBC interview, where the Duke acknowledged that reconciliation with his family would be very hard due to his tell-all memoir and interviews. Harry said, "Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book." Is that all you did, Harry? Writing a book? You didn't write a book. You're not John le Carré or Stephen King or J.K. Rowling. All right? Don't try to cast yourself as some kind of literary genius who's being censored. You wrote a trashy book, ghostwritten, by the way, by someone that actually had a command of the English language. Because some of that language, some of the vocabulary in Spare is beyond Harry, right? Because it's quite elegantly written. Because he's got nothing to do with it. Because he's a thicko. Harry's not clever. Harry is a couple of trees short of a forest, isn't he? And even his late great mother Diana admitted that he was not intellectually gifted. Not just that. He's not just thick as two short planks. Terrible at school, academic, awful exam results. But he's got awful judgment as well. Now, some people are thick, but with good judgment. All right, they've got common sense. Harry's got none of that. He's got nothing. Look at his choice of wife. My husband. So, he says, of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. How dare he frame it like that? That it's because he wrote a book that he's in trouble. That he's like one of those novelists in Soviet Russia who had the book pulped because it dropped too many truth bombs about the regime. No, Harry, you're not a historic figure. You've not been frustrated in telling your side of the story. And by the way, don't give me this BS that Spare was a chance to set the record straight. There was no record to be set straight. This was one-sided, okay? Because Spare exists on its own. There is no response to Spare from the Windsors, from the firm, from the palace. King Charles hasn't written a book, has he? Or William, or Catherine, or Camilla, or any of those figures. Even the truly dreadful, egregious, shameful, embarrassing Prince Andrew hasn't written a book. And he wouldn't, because Andrew's a naughty boy. We know that. He's made big mistakes. He's got terrible taste in friends. But he's not actually disloyal. Tell me one thing that old Randy Andy has done in terms of public comments or behavior. I mean, he's an idiot and he's made big mistakes. But has he said anything that would damage the family? No. It's just that he made bad choices. Harry put it in black and white. Harry published it for all time, for all eternity. And he did not write that book himself. It was ghostwritten. How dishonest of him not to credit the actual writer that penned. I mean, by the way, I'll tell you, Spare was written. I'll tell you who Spare was written by. It was written by a hack, right? A jobbing journalist, obviously a very obsequious journalist that was willing to peddle all the nonsense that Harry's got in his head. So it's written by a skilled journalist, and it was written by Meghan Markle. Okay, those are the people that wrote the book. Harry's probably never read Spare, because I don't think he's got the attention span. Hump-a-dump-a-dump-a-dump. Poor old Prince Harry, the world's least happy millionaire. Hump-a-dump-a-dump-a-dump. I haven't read my own book. I'm waiting for the film. Hump-a-dump-a-dump-a-dump. I mean, seriously, that guy's miserable face is enough to ruin my day. When did he last smile? I don't think he can smile. I think the muscles have just dissolved. The smiling muscles after years of marriage to Meghan and living in Montecito. I mean, by the way, Montecito, great article in the Times today, Times of London about, and by the way, I love America. I love. Hello, America. Hello, Australia. Hello, New Zealand. Hello, Canada. Hello, United Kingdom. Hello, Philippines. Hello, Holland. This is such a global show. Hello, Germany. Guten Tag, wie geht's denn? Alles gut? Mit euch? Oh dear, the German grammar. I struggle with the dative. I mean, don't you think English is a bit of a simpler language than German? The German with the dative and the genitive. What is this, Latin? Give me a break. However, I love Germany. So we've got the Austria, don't forget Austria. France, la belle France, comment ça va? Anyway, the show is incredibly international. Eastern Europe, Africa, South Africa, Ghana, Lithuania. I could go on and I won't. We might even have a few viewers in China. Let me know if you're watching in China. And let's hope that my truth bombs are not being censored by the party. So Harry says, of course some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. That's gaslighting. Okay, that is rewriting history. They don't have a problem with you writing a book. Okay, and by the way, if Harry wrote a book, it would be written in crayon. Okay, it would be a children's book written in crayon like this. There'd be a few scribbles and the publishers, HarperCollins, were like, here's $1 million, thank you, Harry. Of course, they'll never forgive me for lots of things. Too right, they won't. Is Harry finally beginning to wake up and smell the coffee? Goldsmith comment, right? This is former inner circle. For the friends to turn on Harry is significante. Goldsmith comment is significant as it breaks the silence that many of Harry's former friends have maintained, criticising him only in private until now. In the memoir Spare, which he didn't write. By the way, I mean, Harry would insist he did write the novel and it's his story. What I will say is, he dictated it to someone. Do you know what I mean? He sat there with a cold beer. I doubt that Meghan lets him have many beers these days, by the way, because I think she's quite controlling. And I think he'd love to just have a bud, right? He'd love to crack open a bud. Let me just do the sound. Budweiser, king of beers. He'd love to have a Budweiser. It's a great American beer, isn't it? Maybe he should have Bud Light, because he's quite woke, isn't he? Bud Light now is the holy water of woke people. Ever since Dylan Mulvaney, a gentleman that identifies as female who apparently represented all womankind. How did that work out for Bud Light? I think the value of the company and the brand was halved overnight. Go woke, go broke. Anyhow, we haven't got time for this. Harry would like to, he probably sat there with a beer and he spoke to an actual journalist that understood the English language and could write sentences. And then that was, decanted down into the book with some help from Meghan and a few notes and suggestions from Meghan. I got a few suggestions. So, in his memoir Spare, Harry admitted that he'd lost friends over the Oprah Winfrey interview, including from the prestigious Van Custom family, who are dead posh and very rich. In the book, he wrote, several close mates and beloved figures in my life, including one of Hugh and Emily's sons, Emily herself. I don't know who these people are, but let me just tell you, they're rich. Because Harry doesn't know any ordinary people. He doesn't know anyone called Barry or Dave. Harry's not even breathed the same air as someone called Dave. Right? They're all Tiggy Wiggy Biggy and Pumpy Puffy Face and Sir Lord Bram Stoker and, Lady Washing Up Liquid. I mean, he's never seen a normal person. So he's bemoaning the loss of the Van Custen family, who have they've planted a custard pie on his face, haven't they? Several close mates and beloved figures in my life, including one of Hugh and Emily's sons, Emily herself, and even Tiggy, my former nanny, have chastised me for Oprah. How could you reveal such things about your family, they say. Well, that's exactly right, Harry. How could you do that? Especially for money. By the way, if the book Spare was about setting the record straight, then Harry would have taken no money for the book, okay? And then I would have no grounds for criticism. If Harry said, look, I've got to get my story out there and all proceeds will go to charity, at that point you're like, well, he's not motivated by money. He really wants to just tell his side of the story. He wants to communicate. He wants to set the record straight. But he didn't, did he? Because he took $20 million for the book. So I'm afraid you've always got to follow the money. And that's why if you claim to be this very progressive person that wants to make the world a better place, but then you take $20 million to sell your family down the river, then you're not someone that's making the world a better place. Harry has the cheek to talk about, all the conflicts in the world, all the toxicity, all the division. This guy's the king of division. They are, Harry and Meghan, my husband, they are the Duke and Duchess of division. They invented division. And so Harry's friends are right. How could you reveal that about your family? Now, of course, Meghan has made matters worse. Because what she could have done is perhaps stayed silent at this point. After the terrible mistake of the BBC interview that Harry did, she could have just helped him by staying quiet, below the radar, or even reached out. She could have reached out to the palace. I mean, I know that they're not interested, are they? Neil Sean, a good friend of mine, brilliant royal reporter, recommend his channel very highly. He broke the story that Meghan had sent jam to King Charles at Clarence House, which is an insult, isn't it? That jam that she can't sell, that she reckons is sold out because they had 11 jars of it in a cupboard. Oh, I couldn't believe it was sold out so quickly. So, Neil broke the story that she's sent one of her rather disgusting gone-off hampers to Clarence House. And that Charles wasn't interested. Well, of course he's not. He ain't interested in one bit. I mean, he's done. As I mentioned in the last video, he has disowned Harry and long since disowned Meghan Markle. But what she's done is made things worse. And this is what she's excellent at, is that she could have helped Harry at this point, but she didn't. She stirred the pot by publishing a photograph on Instagram, on her Instagram. Don't tell me what a great parent she is. This woman lives on the internet and she claims to avoid social media because of her mental health. She lives on her computer. She stares at a screen the whole time. And she's obsessed with her public image. Of course she is. Are you telling me that Meghan Markle doesn't read about herself every second of every day? My husband. So she posted a photo of Harry with the kids. Once again, by the way, leveraging Archie and Lily. I'm not going to say Lilibet because that's a stolen name from the Queen. I'm not going to say Lilibet anymore. That word is banned from the show. Would you support me banning the word Lilibet? By the way, this is no attack on the little girl, who I'm sure is absolutely cute and adorable, and I hope she has an excellent life. But her parents stole the grandmother's nickname. So I'm going to call her Lily. Lily and Archie have been leveraged once again, right? There's a vicious Cold War. It's not even a Cold War. It's a hot war between Buckingham Palace and Montecito. There's a huge war. And Meghan has stoked tensions by publishing this photograph and using Archie and Lilibet as ammo. Imagine weaponizing Archie and Lily. I'd say Lilibet again, didn't I? Imagine weaponizing Archie and Lily. Imagine doing that to the kids. They're tiny. They're very young. Old Archibald. My son. Archie, my son. I call him A. He's the A team. I don't call him Archie. I call him A. My son. Archie and Lily have been deployed as artillery in this vicious hot war between Montecito and London. By the way, a war that Montecito is losing. Oh, I forgot to mention before we get, I've got so many stories for you today, you will not believe. Great piece in the Times of London about Montecito and how boring it is. It's lovely. California is beautiful, don't get me wrong. Got family there, as you well know, in the Napa Valley. And previously San Francisco, San Fran. I love LA. California is perfect. Very, very, very badly run, but that's another story and maybe another video at some point. But California is very special. Montecito is achingly middle class and posh. And there's a great article in the Times today about how it's a complete bubble. First of all, it's 2 streets and all the cafes and restaurants are organic and you just get like vegan stuff and it's couscous and it's whole grain, purified spring water washed rice with pink Himalayan salt. Harry just wants a Budweiser, king of beers. That's what he wants. He wants a few beers. And he wants to eat dirty. He wants an In-N-Out, which he's not had from Meghan for a long time. I'm talking about the burger. Will you please behave yourself? It's a family show. Harry craves, as a middle-aged man, he craves a bit of In-N-Out. Is that a crime to want In-N-Out? Which you're welcome to Google is a popular fast food chain, which I understand is exclusive to California. Is that right? I think In-N-Out is only in California. A very popular brand of burger bar. Harry needs In-N-Out, hasn't had In-N-Out for a long time. And is that Meghan's fault? Who knows? I don't have a webcam in the house, although I am working on it. So, by the way, if I had that webcam, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't share it because out of respect for privacy, okay? Where I intrude on private grief, okay? Where I out people is when they say things in public, like when they write books and do interviews. That's when I call people to account. What they do in their own home is their matter. I'll just speculate that the Sussexes over at that mansion, which is worth $20 million, I don't think there's a lot of In-N-Out happening there these days. So Harry wants to have a beer. He wants to have a burger, and he's in Montecito, where everything is just sanitized and boring and vanilla. It's cashmere, organic cotton. It's just tedious. And you've got $200 for like a tea bag in the deli. It's abnormal. It's the epicenter of the rich millionaire elites. You go into these shops and there's Gwyneth Paltrow buying her unbleached flour, which she's either going to eat or sprinkle on her head or possibly even insert, knowing Meghan, knowing Gwyneth. Gwyneth is notorious for inserting things into her body. Do you remember the eggs? Do you remember that? Was it a vibrating egg? I can't remember what that egg did, but there were eggs that were going places. So that's Montecito. You're going to bump into Oprah Winfrey, media billionaire. None of these people are real. They're all in a bubble. So Montecito is elite, it's privileged, it's out of touch, and it is boring as hell. Boring as hell. If I lived in America, I would not be interested in living in Montecito. I want to go to an interesting part of America. I want to go to Detroit, Michigan, and see what's going down. And actually hang out with some real Americans. There you go. And you know what I would also buy? I would buy a Ford pickup truck. I'd buy the biggest one I could find. A big, heavy gas guzzler of a thing. I'd go around and I'd have a beaten up baseball cap. And I would, I'd play Billy Ray Cyrus very loudly on the stereo. Or Chris Jansen, are you familiar with him? Brilliant country and western star. Big fan of his. Buy me a boat. They can buy me a boat. That's not Harry's life. Harry does not have an exciting life in a pickup truck, living the American dream, wearing his favorite jeans and taking a beer with his girlfriend on a Friday night. He doesn't have any of that stuff. He's in the anemic tedium of Montecito, a pretend village for people that have never lived in a village before. So Meghan has made life terribly hard for Harry by posting this Instagram image, weaponizing the children and stoking the war, because that's what she wants to do. She's, of course, behind this war. She's the originator of the war, right? She's the epicenter of all of this. Harry and Charles and William are actually innocent bystanders of Meghan's plan, okay? Which, I hate to tell you, is coming together beautifully. She's like George Peppard in the A-Team. Do you remember that show? And I don't actually have a cigarette on me. Let me use the makeup brush. This show, by the way, is not just thrown together. We have makeup. Is that a mic drop? I think so. Come on. George Peppard in the A-Team. And was it him that used to say, I love it when a plan comes together? We're back to the In-N-Out burger. That didn't taste so good. It's working perfectly for Meghan. She's got the millions. She's got the royal husband. She's got the fame. She's won. I know you don't like it when I praise Meghan. Let me know in the comments, by the way. I read every comment. The comments are the highlight of my day. And they're not just relevant to the channel. They are the channel. And I think we got the last video, we got some crazy number of comments. I think over 3,000, maybe 4,000 comments. I mean, that is just extraordinary. And thank you. Very big video. I think it's almost 400,000 people watched the last video. We're building a media revolution. It's all down to you. So, subscribe, like, and what's the other one? Subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell, because then you get emergency monologues. Right. So she's posted a photo of Harry. She shouldn't have done that. She's making his life harder. That's what she exists to do. But she's also in the news because the latest episode of her mind-numbingly boring podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, which is a stolen title that she took from somebody that already had a show of that name, classic Meghan. And in this one, by the way, again, there are no real people in this podcast, just like Harry doesn't know anyone called Dave. Meghan doesn't know anyone normal. This is an entrepreneur, a wealthy Brit who moved to California and started a supplement business. These coffees, which have got extra stuff in them to give you energy and incredible health. God knows what's in the coffee. I'm sure it's a lovely product. It's called Clever Blends. CLEVR Blends. Clever Blends. If they'd like to sponsor the show, they're very welcome to. And what I'll do is I'll do a few samples live on the show. You know, I normally have decaf. Well, I'll have some Clever Blends and I'll give you my honest verdict. I think they should sponsor the show. By the way, if you'd like to sponsor the show, then let me know in the comments. Who do you think? Who would you like to sponsor? Let me know who you would like as the sponsor. Let me know products. Let me know the products that you like. And then I'll reach out to those companies. I'll say, hey, my viewers like your product. Why don't you sponsor the show so that this channel can be supported, so that I can continue to do the work that I do? That wouldn't be bad, would it? Anyhow, so she is on the podcast, Meghan. She's invested in Clever Blends. The founder of the company is called Hannah Mendoza, who, by the way, I will say is a very impressive person. I mentioned she comes from a wealthy family. That's not her crime. At the age of 18, she moved to California, which is very brave and heroic. And she built a life there, and she's been incredibly successful with her specialty coffees. And Meghan Markle was so impressed that she actually invested in the company. Meghan's quite the entrepreneur these days. Let me tell you that very soon, if not already, Meghan, I think not yet because Harry made $20 million from the book, but I think Meghan's got a plan to become richer than Harry. Because Meghan's all about power. That's her currency. And it would be the ultimate flex if she could be richer than the H-bomb. That's what she'd like. Because she'd be like, oh, you've got your money, haven't you, Harry, which is $20 million. Although they live in California, so after tax, that's about 38 cents. So there's not much left. But life in California is so good. The public services work so well, and it's very excellent administration, so it's worth every penny. But then Meghan, she's like, you've got your $20 million, and I've got, oh, look, I got $38 million, which is double what you've got, loser! That's her plan. She'd love to undermine him. She'd love to be the main breadwinner, bringing in all the cash, because that would give her power. So here we go. I've got to tell you exactly the story with regard to this ointment that she's been using. Okay. So this is during her pregnancies with Archie and Lily. And she revealed that she consulted an Ayurvedic doctor during both of her pregnancies. She said, I turned to an Ayurvedic practitioner when I was pregnant with both Archie and Lily. She discussed her belief in the healing power of food and natural remedies. She said it was about seeing food as medicine. Well, I'd love to know what she's been eating because her brain is like a bowl of porridge. The word salad from that podcast, word salads plural, she waffles on. Oh my God. So this was about clever blends, like I said, created by lovely Hannah Mendoza. I wish her good luck and she's welcome to sponsor the show. But Meghan and Hannah discussed adaptogens like mushrooms, which are ingredients believed to help with stress and fatigue. Meghan acknowledged how unconventional it can sound to some. She said, I think a lot of people, when they hear mushrooms, they go, okay, she's talking about being hippy-dippy, grounded in all these things. She said, if you aren't familiar with adaptogens, you can go to this place of, oh, it's feeling a little psychedelic and super woo, right? So, by the way, where is this going? I'm trying to give you a transcript of the conversation. But she says, if you aren't familiar with adaptogens, you can go to this place of, and then she interrupts herself and goes, ooh, it's feeling a little psychedelic and super woo-woo, isn't it? She argued that these ingredients have long been part of nature and human diets. She said there are so many of these items and ingredients that have been part of our natural ecosystem and dietary system for a long time, whether acknowledged or not, that somehow you say mushrooms and now people have a connotation attached to it. Look, this is a total freak show. What is going on? Why is she encouraging pregnant people, or by the way, can I just say pregnant women? Because pregnant people is a terrible, ridiculous language to use, right? There's no pregnant people. There's no birthing humans. It's women. And I don't think that pregnant women should be encouraged to take unusual, strange, ground up exotic mushrooms. I don't think they should be going to an Avayu diabetic doctor. What is it? Are you having a laugh? What is it called? An Avayurectic, a rectal doctor, an erection doctor? What is this thing? Ayurvedic. Having a laugh. So, no, she shouldn't be talking about that. And it's inappropriate. I would say, by the way, this channel, we have no medical advice on this channel. I realize, and it's very nice of you to say that I do have the bedside manner of a doctor, and that's really sweet and very flattering. And, I probably could go online to a website in India and download a few medical certificates. And I think I'd do a good job, actually. I do. I think I could get through the basics of a medical education and change lives because I've got healing hands. But. So I wouldn't give any advice, but I wouldn't encourage a pregnant woman to take exotic mushrooms during her pregnancy. I wouldn't recommend that a pregnant woman goes to see an Ayurvedicio doctor. Okay, an Aviru vet doctor. What is it? I wouldn't do any of those things, because I think that if you're expecting a baby, you should eat a healthy diet based on real food, and you should see your medical practitioner who understands Western medicine to keep you on the planet and to get the baby out safely. Why is she on this show peddling this stuff? Now, I'm casting no aspersions on the product. I'm sure it's been tested and it's been safe. I will say, by the way, you hear about this Lion's Made mushroom coffee, and I've heard it's great. Now, there was a concern, some other brands, they found unwelcome chemicals and lead in there. Not this product, but previous other brands. So, I just think that if someone listens to Meghan's nonsense and then goes online and buys exotic mushrooms and starts imbibing them, drinking them with coffee, snorting them, God knows, injecting them, or going the Gwyneth route and inserting, I don't think it's appropriate. And I don't think it's right that Meghan should make these revelations. And by the way, have you noticed how Meghan is obsessed with her pregnancies? She talks so much about her pregnancies. And I've got to say that a number of you in the comments, because this show is all about the comments are not part of the show. The comments are the show. And a lot of you say that you're not convinced that Meghan had the pregnancies. I saw a different show, a very interesting show online, that suggested that she'd had a hysterectomy in her 20s. Now, I've got no evidence for that, okay? And as far as I can judge, that's nonsense. Certainly no evidence for that, or that the babies, the children don't exist, that they're invisible. It is what a lot of you say online and on the comments, and you're entitled to your view. I just don't know. I don't know. Okay, I've got no reason to believe that those children are not Meghan's. But the bottom line is that she talks so much about the pregnancy. The previous episode, it was her preeclampsia during the pregnancy. And I don't know. The whole thing it's not right. Do you know what I mean? Because there's something very dignified about being pregnant. And it's obviously an extraordinary blessing, which is allocated to 50% of the population. And it's an intimate, private, and magical thing. And I don't think it should be subject matter for, your commercial life. And I certainly don't think that pregnant women should be taking, as I say, hallucinogenic substances when the baby is in utero, right? I'm not having it, not on my watch. Dr. Dolan says no. If you're very good, you can have like a Nescafe, and that's as far as I'd go. So there we are. Folks, before we go, I was delighted to see the royal family out in numbers for the VE Day celebrations. This was, of course, celebrating the end of the Second World War, victory in Europe, which is just, to this day, the 80th anniversary, the freedom that we enjoy, the freedom that Harry's got to write his ridiculous books, the freedom that I've got to be on YouTube and tell you what I think about the royals. All of that is thanks to the brave men and women, particularly men, of course, millions of young men that whose lives passed in conflicts for the freedom that we now enjoy. So it's a great thing to see the royal family out there. There was a parade, red arrows fly past. By the way, the red arrows, that's the planes that fly in tandem and do loops and stuff. Do you not think that's asking for trouble? Do you not think that's saying to the gods, come on then, do your worst? Oh my goodness. If I was offered a seat in one of those red arrows jets, I'd be like, thanks, but no thanks. I'd actually rather read the book Spare on a loop than be in one of those planes that does the upside down twirly whirly thing. Anyway, but they're great people. They're fantastic pilots, unlike Harry. They are true heroes of aviation. Harry was a passenger in a helicopter once for 10 minutes, and apparently he's an icon of aviation. So you got the red arrows. It was Bank Holiday Monday in the United Kingdom. Charles was there, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Catherine, and the 3 wonderful children. And a lip reader has been speaking to the Mirror newspaper. And the lip reader said that Catherine told Charlotte, doesn't Papa look smart today? I mean, does that not bring a tear to your eye that Catherine is so in love with William that she says to her own daughter, "Doesn't Papa look smart today?" Oh my God. And he did look. Prince William looked OMG. I mean, I am on paper a happily married heterosexual man, but William, what a dreamboat. His interaction with Louis was fantastic too. Encouraged him to pay attention to the parade, because that's a challenge with Louis, as we know. "It's not going to be long, and I want you to be taking an interest," said William to Louis. Isn't that great parenting? Isn't that what fatherhood looks like? Take note, Prince Harry. Humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dum. Do you think he gives that good advice to Archie? No, he probably says, "Oh, Archie, I'm the world's least happy millionaire. I've got a terrible life in boring Montecito where everything's made of couscous. Humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dum. Humpy-dumpy-bum-ba-bum." Let's take a look at Louis in action, hilariously mocking his brother George. Absolutely fantastic antics. Those two have a spicy relationship. I'm sure there are fireworks when the cameras aren't rolling, but even when they are, it's pretty explosive stuff. But whilst the two of them clearly enjoy banter and a bit of friendly rivalry, I doubt that George and Louis will become William and Harry. I doubt that, and I'll tell you for why. Because William won't let that happen. Catherine will not let that happen. But anyway, so Louis is a character. He's going to be a very entertaining young man as he grows up, and he's going to be an amazing spare, because he's going to understand, unlike Harry, that actually, if you are not the first in line to the throne, if you are the spare, or eventually the second in line to the throne, that it's a dream gig, because you've got all of the fame and privilege and status and none of the responsibility. It's the perfect gig. And I think Louis is probably going to be the most exciting prince in the history of the United Kingdom. He's going to be a rock star, because even now, at the tender age that he is, which is 7, he's already a troublemaker. Toothless little rascal. Gotta love him. Love Charlotte as well. Charlotte was encouraged to, take note of everything that was happening, and she just did the whole family proud. Perfect little family. But before we go, a big development for Prince George, who of course is the eldest, and he will be king after his father ceases to be king. And so Prince George was at a VE Day tea party as the king in training. So he's 11, and he was at the 80th anniversary of VE Day, a tea party at Buckingham Palace, alongside his mother and father. He proved adept at royal duties, warmly engaging with Second World War veterans and asking them questions about their service. William told 101-year-old Alfred Littlefield, "George is very interested in finding out about the veterans." Again, that's great parenting. What an influence William is on George. So good. Mr. Littlefield's granddaughter added, "George even asked my grandfather how old he was during his service." So little George is asking questions of these war veterans and understanding the significance of 1945. Just brilliant. Veteran Joy True, who's 98, revealed that King Charles tucked me in with a blanket during the cold outdoor military procession. King Charles has tucked a war veteran in with a blanket on VE Day. I mean, this is why we have a royal family. And this is why they're not just admired in Britain, but admired by the whole world, especially the free world. Also, Prince William said to a veteran called Douglas Hyde, who joined the Navy at the age of 18, that George was very keen to ask some questions. Catherine asked evacuee Margaret Wood for a copy of her memoir. She said that Catherine is an ordinary lady, just a mum, which is so true. She's extraordinary but ordinary, why we love her. Catherine joked about George. He's going to have to practice his shooting like you, referring to another veteran. So it was a great thing. And the mic drop. And by the way, a quick word on the service personnel who have passed and the ones that are still with us. Okay, some of the people that were there were between the age of 95 and 104. They're the heroes we must thank. And they will be gone at some point. That whole history, that legacy will be gone. And we're so privileged that they're still around, but they won't be here forever. And with every year that goes by, we lose more and more of those heroes. What we've got to do is perpetuate their memory and remember what they sacrificed along with their colleagues who didn't come home. And that is the importance of the royal family. So before I go, finally, let me quickly tell you what was at the tea party. So British. Do you want to know what they ate? sandwiches, Scotch eggs, which is a boiled egg wrapped in pork and then coated in breadcrumbs. Delicious. Potted shrimps on brown bread, egg and bacon quiche, scones, treacle tart, chocolate cake, lemon and carrot cake, and strawberries and cream. All held in the Marble Hall at Buckingham Palace. I mean, if that's not a meal that's going to satisfy you, nothing will. I could tell you about the VE Day all day, but it's just a wonderful thing. But I just want to tell you finally about the balcony appearance, okay? Because you got Harry in California in Montecito, and he's complaining about his security, that Charles won't speak to him. He doesn't know how long his dad's got. The legal defeat was a stitch up by the establishment, right? A complete pity party from Harry. Meanwhile, Charles, Camilla, William and Catherine are honouring the war dead and war veterans. Finally, Charles appears on the balcony of Buckingham Palace with the whole family. And according to a good friend of mine, body language expert Judy James, the balcony appearance symbolised the royals' resilience. She told the Mirror newspaper, "Royal balcony moments always show the firm at their highest status best, standing in a position of ultimate power as a strong family unit whilst looking down on the mass crowds of their subjects, all cheering wildly to show their support." But the point made by Judy James, and she's absolutely right, is the clearest message of all was from King Charles to his errant son, the prodigal prince, Prince Harry. And Charles's message was a clear one, which is that this family is bigger than any one individual, that you've left, that we don't need you. You've disgraced the family, you've disgraced the country, you've disgraced the monarchy, the institution, everything that this represents. Not only do you no longer belong here, you've chosen this exit, but we don't need you. It was a mark of defiance. It was a mark of strength, of independence, of courage. Charles has moved on. He's disowned Harry. And in the words of Elton John, Charles's message is clear. I'm still standing, baby. Here I am on this balcony with the world at my feet, with my loyal, beloved family around me and Prince Andrew, staring at the maid. Andrew, concentrate. It's about the veterans. Focus, big guy. And look, seriously, it is a great moment for Charles to stand there, to meet his public, to remember our heroes of the Second World War, and to send a clear message to Harry that we will survive. And we won't just survive in your absence, we will thrive. Folks, it's been great to talk. Can't wait for the next video, most likely tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for your support. Hit me with the comments. Go and have a great day. Bye for now.